Here today we are on Westfield, and this is something a little bit different. This is actually a video that was sent in by a longtime friend of the channel. He goes by Joe. In-game, Unturned Leaf is the nickname you'll see him by, but we always call him Joe. And he attends our live streams, and is one of the, you almost always see in the comments and whatnot. And he's got a lot of input to the channel. And so when the other day he, in a very Joe sort of fashion, rather humbly said, "Hey, I had a really pretty good game the other day in my T54 that you mind if I send that over, or do you want to take a look at it?" I'm like, yeah, sure, absolutely, send it on over. And that was kind of about all he said. I think he might have told me the outcome of it. And I'm going to put that into two categories for you. This game's either going to be a game where there's going to be a very significant hero in the game, where Joe is going to save the day at the buzzer and win it for his team, or it is going to go horribly wrong and end in defeat. You'll have to place your bets now and see how that thought tracks as we go through this this game. Because, well, I will give you the spoiler. It's a wild ride. So, jumping into the gameplay a bit here, pretty typical flow of the game. The heavies went up, are finding themselves a bit outnumbered in the field, unfortunately. That isn't necessarily typical. It's kind of a bummer. But then you've got the mediums go up and kind of duke it out over here at the corner. And I'll admit, Joe does a lot of things in this game I wouldn't have done. But, you know, if it works, it's probably not so stupid. And I probably would have been too aggressive and not have been able to achieve some of the things that Joe ends up achieving. But right now, he's doing exactly what any good tanker would do in a T-54. Utilize that turret. Look at that. He is staying safe. In fact, granted, he was firing the super high-powered heat, but he did manage to penetrate the enemy T-54 over there. So he kind of keeps poking at this here, but it is very obvious they are going to be outnumbered, and his his Object 704 gets lit and instantly dies once he gets lit. He took fire from the village area. So, rather astutely, Joe packs it up and heads back over here. And what we have to remember is this is a game. This is not something that people are making their livelihood with. Even the streamers that make their livelihood with it, it still is a game. That's why people enjoy it. And let's face it, a lot of us, it's because kind of like World War II history, and this puts us nice and close to rather realistic looking tanks that kind of immerse you a little bit in what things looked like back in the pre-war, during the war, and then in the Cold War era shortly thereafter, during the Korean War, or I'm sorry, conflict. So it gives us a way to kind of see and touch history, so to speak. Now, Joe has moved back, and he's moved into a very unlikely location. I don't know if he does this often. I don't know that I have hardly ever gone back and used this position other than maybe in a light tank to then use it as a spotting location and maybe sit here for a bit and then head out. But Joe is in a nice double-bushed location here. I would have probably been a few meters to the 3 o'clock position of the hull, so I could be spotting. But if I was doing that and I tried to shoot, I would get lit. And Joe won't have such a problem here. So, he hangs out here. He uses the auto aim there. I don't know if I would have done that. I'm not sure what the rest of you would do in that sort of situation. I usually try and take the shot myself, hoping that I can do a better job and give proper lead. But one of his missed, one of them hit. Unfortunately, the one that hit bounced. But Joe stays patient. He stays in this position, and the artillery's telling him, "Joe, you gotta get out there and spot. We need you to spot stuff." But Joe doesn't listen. And that potentially was a good move. Because now watch, Joe takes a shot, does damage, and doesn't get spotted. If he had been spotting, he would have fired and gotten lit, or he would have spotted it, the tank would have ducked behind the building, and artillery wouldn't have been able to hit him anyway. So, maybe it was genius. But now things start to get a little more interesting because Joe starts to kill tanks that are trying to climb the hill. One Foch down. And what begins to happen here is a bit curious and is something that I have seen happen only a handful of times over the years, and that is where a tank gets itself into a position that the normal meta of the game doesn't expect. You don't expect a T-54 with full hit points to be sitting back in this location. And granted, they don't know he's full hit points right now, but they know they're getting shot at. They know he's here. They cannot see him, and they cannot cross the open expanse to get to him without fear of getting decimated. And now they're all down to one shot as well. I can't remember where the Skoda T-50's at, but these tanks cannot afford to take any more hits. So it's actually working well that numerous tanks are being held up by Joe's position here, and Joe doesn't have to do anything now. Once they're afraid of him, the only thing that's going to make them unafraid is if they think he is left. And to be honest, he can't leave because he'd get spotted. So deductive logic says he has to be here. Jumping to the other side of the map for a moment, we can see the E-75 has moved his way up to the enemy flag. I thought he was going to go and cap, but it does not look like that is his plan. I think he's doing some arty hunting. I think maybe he's typically a light tank player, and he's just in a really, really slow light tank right now. Not sure, but hey, he's getting the job done. We'll let him keep at it. So we have an E-75, Joe, his T-54, and 2 arty. Against a T-30, a Centurion, a T-54, and a Skoda T-50. And 2 artillery. Oh, and a T-30. Did I say the T-30? I can't remember if I said the T-30. There was also a T-30. Now there's one less artillery. The E-75 Scout has found him. And now we wait. There's plenty of time left on the clock. We got over 7 minutes left. Would you be this patient? Or would you try and move? I probably would try and move right now. But not Joe. Joe's sitting here patiently. Now the artillery is unfortunately not as patient. But where I do give credit here is that healthy debate is a good thing until it turns into something counterproductive. And typically in World of Tanks, counterproductive means you start shooting at each other. And that's not happening here. They're continuing to work together. Now, we do have some activity. The T-54 decides to move out in the open. Notice, he's the one who got impatient first. Joe takes 2 shots and kills him. First bit of luck in this game, the T-30 fires and bounces off of Joe, doing 750 potential damage, and it bounces right off because he's in a Russian tank. And that's not really why. He obviously hit. Well, it is a Russian tank, but he took the shot onto a very, very well-sloped piece of armor. So now Joe moves into a further retreated position. He is still double bushed, but there's one thing that Joe does not account for here, and it's going to be a problem in just a moment. Do you know what it is? He's got a really good shot or sight line straight ahead through the trees. If anything gets lit, he'll be able to shoot. The artillery is probably in a position where any tank that gets anywhere near the flag is going to get spotted. And there's our first contestant, except, yes, gun depression. Or actually, elevation. Yeah, Joe wasn't quite ready for that. And unfortunately, a slight miscalculation there. Heat rounds ladies and gentlemen, when they hit an object like a fence, they will detonate just like HE. So unfortunately, if he had been firing AP, that Centurion would probably be dead. I also suspect that T-30 would be hurting a bit more right now, but I think that shell also hit something and exploded. So, their destruction, I suppose, is just going to have to wait. But Joe does not let up on the heat rounds. And that can be a good thing in the T-54. It has wicked heat rounds. Now, the T-30 comes marching into here, and I'm sure their thought is, hey, they can't kill all of us. That's what I would think. But they might have thought wrong. Joe takes another hit, now from the Centurion 7-1, brings him down to about 50% health. And again, the artillery are upset because they are dead, and Joe is still alive. I understand their frustration, but at the same time, Joe seems to be playing his position pretty well here, making lemonade out of lemons. Now this is ballsy, could be a bit lucky. The Centurion misses. It wouldn't have killed him, but it would have brought him down to a one-shot condition. But that doesn't happen. Centurion misses, and Joe lives through it. Now, unfortunately, I did a fast forward there, and we missed the moment that the E-75 died. So the important thing to know is the E-75 was alive. He is now dead, and we know that the Skoda has moved to the other side of the map. We still don't know where the other artillery is. Now, what would you do in this position? We're sitting here with just under 3 minutes left on the clock. What do you do? Do you try and go for the cap? Do you continue to wait and defend your own base? But Joe has a plan, it would seem. He's going to move along here through the trees, keeping a close eye on what's going on, whether he gets lit. And he does not get lit. Where did that Skoda go? Did he go into the village? Is he waiting to ambush in case Joe goes for the flag? Is he waiting in the trees back here by the windmill? I don't know. And where's the artillery, for that matter? We're going to find him hiding in the bushes over here. If I remember right around here was as far as the E-75 went. But aha! There's the artillery. An auto-aim shot misses, goes into the dirt. Got to watch out for those. They can be elusive. Now, unfortunately, the artillery's gone dark, having gotten one shot into him. Now, Joe nudges this tank carcass, and if the enemy artillery is paying attention, which he's probably not since he's traversing right now and moving around, he might know right where Joe's at. Now, we are sitting here with 35 seconds left on the clock, and there are 2 tanks left, 1 artillery and 1 unspotted Skoda T-50. We're down to 25 seconds. Still 2 tanks remaining. Just Joe. Joe's probably a 2-shot, depending exactly where he takes the shot. He goes straight at the arty, tracks the artillery, not killing him, goes for ram, does a little bit of damage, kills the artillery. Now there are 5 seconds left, and Joe is a 2-shot, the Skoda is a 1-shot. Joe gets hit, and Joe kills the Skoda, winning the game at 0 seconds on the clock. Did you see that coming? I knew the answer going into it, and I honestly, at 30 seconds to go, did not know how the game that had been briefly described to me, how that could play out in that short amount of time. But it did. So if it's stupid and it works, maybe it's not so stupid. Joe, you kept your cool. I need to learn from you in that regard. My only recommendation is use less auto-aim, but a very, very good result, sir.
If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. And to keep me motivated, I need the subs to keep coming in. We've actually been on a little bit of a slide. I thought it was going to dip below 100 again. So, if you feel like helping out my teeny tiny World of Tanks channel, please subscribe, tell your friends. You guys are my marketing department. Have a great day.